A new building season has begun, and it's high time that I built a front porch on the cabin. To start, I dug down to the limestone, which is about 2 feet below the surface. In my area, the limestone provides a stable base on which I can set the footings, where they'll be unaffected by the annual frost heave in the soil. Early spring weather is often a fickle thing. One moment it's raining, and the next, it's snowing, only to melt several hours later. After working hard to dig the holes out, it's time to fill them back in with fieldstone. It's quite possible that my father put these stones here over 60 years ago when he helped my grandfather clear the land of these pesky rocks. I found it to be a strangely comforting thought. As I traveled back toward the cabin, I stopped at the edge of a clearing to see if I could glass Tintin using a pair of binoculars I just picked up from Bass Pro. I first came across Tintin last year, and I've seen him several times since. I'm still trying to figure out what he is, as his coloring and behavior are different from the eastern coyotes which dominate this area. Either way, I wasn't able to spot him this time. I'd like to take a moment to thank Incogni for sponsoring this episode. Are you tired of all the spam calls, texts, and emails that you've been receiving lately? Well, you're not alone. In a nutshell, your personal information is being sold or published online without you even knowing about it. And robocallers aren't the only ones who will purchase your information. Businesses, scammers, and cyber criminals will too. The good news is that you have the right to protect your privacy and request that data brokers delete the information they hold about you. The bad news is that it would take you years to do it manually, just once, and you need to repeat the process every few months as data brokers continue collecting your data and creating new records. This is where Incogni comes to the rescue in 3 easy steps. First, make an account with Incogni. Second, grant Incogni the right to work for you, and they will contact data brokers on your behalf to request your personal data removal. Third, kick back and watch them work. They will handle any objections from data brokers and keep you updated on their progress every step of the way. Take back your personal data with Incogni. Use code THEOUTSIDER at the link below and get 60% off an annual plan. The fieldstone, along with the limestone layer below, will provide a solid base for the footings, while allowing water to easily drain through them. Now for the actual footings, which nature has readily provided in the form of boulders, 2 of which were nearby, just waiting to be dragged into place. The third and final boulder, however, was over 1 kilometer away, and it took most of the morning just to get it to the cabin. My next job was to make a cedar beam, which will rest across the boulders. This meant that I needed a cedar tree. Many small streams are formed during the spring runoff, weaving their way through the cedar forest. But by midsummer, most of these tiny tributaries will vanish as quickly as they appeared. With a cedar beam milled and ready to go, my next task was to drill and level the tops of the boulders in preparation for the beam. After using my diamond blade to cut into the stone and my cold chisel to knock the pieces out, I switched to my diamond cup grinder to smooth everything flat. Now that the tops of the boulders were flat and level, I cut some score lines into them. This is to prevent moisture from getting trapped underneath the beam by channeling water down the boulder. It was time to install the ledger board. In this case, I'll be using a pressure-treated 2x12, which I picked up from the lumberyard. If I had a cedar big enough to make the ledger, I would have milled it myself, as cedar is naturally resistant to rot. However, this treated 2x12 will do just fine. Next came the 2x10 joists, which were also pressure treated. I spaced them 16 inches apart. The 2x6 cedar decking came next. I used my carpenter's pencil, which is a 1/4 inch thick, to space the boards apart. The 1/4 inch spacing will allow water to drain between the boards. To protect the deck, I mixed up a natural wood treatment, which uses 1 liter of boiled linseed oil, 2 liters of mineral spirits, and 2 bars of canning wax. After mixing the linseed oil and mineral spirits together, I melted the canning wax down by double boiling it. I first heard of this recipe from Noah Bradley, so I made sure to link his channel in the description below. Once it completely turned to liquid, I slowly poured the wax into the mixture. I had to learn the hard way that the wax won't properly mix if the treatment is colder than room temperature. On my first attempt, I added the wax when the treatment was at 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius, and this was the unfortunate result. The wax clumped together and refused to mix. Anyway, on my second try, I made sure to warm up the treatment in the sun first, and the wax mixed in beautifully. The linseed oil protects the wood, while the mineral spirits help the oil to penetrate deeper into the grain. Finally, the wax forms a protective barrier, which prevents water from absorbing into the wood. Notice how the water beads up instead of soaking into the deck. Well, there it is. The base is complete. It may look a little plain at the moment, but the best is yet to come. I still need to add the railings, posts, and staircase. I have a design in mind already, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. If this was your deck, what kind of railings and staircase would you build for it? Stay tuned. Until next time, my friends, stay safe, be well, and God bless.